Hey guys, I thought I would go through and show some of the newly found junk that I've been saving for a while. Um, I've been sorting and organizing back there and over here and getting all the electronic and electrical things over here and computer stuff and all the mechanical and engines and motors and things like that back on that shelf. And I've discovered a few things, one of which is this. This is a Ferro Control. It's a very old PLC type unit that I got off from a machine that we scrapped at a company that I used to work at, and I just thought it was pretty interesting how closely the components are packed on these cards. I don't think there's space on there for one more thing. I mean, look at how close those chips and stuff are. I don't know how they could design that and get all the traces. That's got to be a multi-level board, because there's not that many traces on the back side, or the can't really tell on the front. But these cards are just jam-packed with stuff. That's called FGI. I don't know what that is. If that's not the processor, but I don't know what that is. This is part of the positioning system off of a multiple head boring machine. This I would assume is memory. It's got a battery on it and a bunch of ROMs. And this one, this might be the processor. This is a Z84 and some more RAMs, some Hyundai RAMs, but I don't know for sure. But it's pretty neat backplane type PLC. Although I'm not sure how programmable it is. It's probably just like a logic controller. There's probably no real programming other than what would come through like a network or something. Of course, this might be the processor. This has a Zilog Z84 on it also. 6 megahertz. Boy, that's just flying. This is an input card. It's just basically got opto isolators. That one's not too packed too well. That's one of the input cards. There were 2 input cards and 4 output cards. The output cards are solid state. They're not relay. You got a bunch of these, I would assume, transistors. I don't recognize the number BD652. But then again, this is a European unit. But I also have the motor speed controls and stuff for this. So I'm going to dig those out. I'm going to go put this into storage on the back shelf and get a couple of the speed controls out. Show you guys those. Those are pretty neat. Alrighty, I misspoke a little bit. They're not variable speed drives. There's only one variable speed drive, variable frequency drive, and that's this unit here. If I remember right, there was only one motor that did the drilling right in the center of the head. The other 3 units here are positioning, AC positioning servos, and that would be, I'm not sure which one was which, but one would be the head up and down, one would be the head left and right, and the last one would be the table in and out. So it's a 3-axis machine. Now this one says X and this one says Y, but I don't know exactly which one was which. I can't remember. It's been 15, 16, 18 years, I think, probably since 15 years anyway. And this one here on this first unit here, this is the power supply. So they were basically all ganged together. You know, this is the DC rail, and then these lines here went out to the motors, and this is your 3-phase in. I think it's 100 amps, but I don't recall. Looks like 24 volts DC. I would have thought it would have been more than that. What does it say here? Oh, 300 volts DC. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it would have been higher. So you basically take 3-phase 220, and it makes single phase 300 volts DC at 100 amps. Well, a little less than 100 amps because you wouldn't want to blow the fuse, obviously. And that feeds all four of these drives. And then this one is a variable speed that will run the motor at whatever speed the program calls for. And then these three position it to where it needs to drill the hole. And this is one of the encoders. It's a Winkelcodier. Huh. I think it's German, the ferrule control, but I'm not positive. But this would relay the information back to the drive as to where it was, and the drive would communicate with the other part that I showed you earlier. That would tell it where it was supposed to be. And then, of course, this is all the control lines for the unit. And these are a pretty beefy unit. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They have pretty big heat sinks on them, and there's a lot of stuff inside them. It's probably hard to see, but they're pretty heavy. I saved them just because they were pretty cool. I don't think I'd ever be able to get it to fire up and do anything. First of all, I don't have three-phase AC power here at the house, but you could feed it with 300 volts DC from someplace and it would operate. But I don't, I cut all these lines when I was scrapping the machine out, and it could all be wired back up, but I really don't know what I'd do with it. So they'll probably just sit on the shelf until I get a bug up my rear end, like I did with all these phone switch cards, and scrap them, take the parts off that I want, throw the rest away. So I don't know. I did look a couple years ago on eBay, and they were selling these units, used on eBay for a couple $100 a piece, but they're so heavy it would kill you in the shipping. So I don't think I can fire this up and see if it works, but I do have a couple other things that I'm going to show you guys and fire them up and see what happens. Maybe we'll let some smoke out. I don't know. Well, this is an old Simplex 2400 energy management system. This used to run the buzzers and the clocks, but it's not Y2K compliant. So, well, at least they didn't think it was Y2K compliant, so they replaced it. It actually was in this cabinet, which is not the correct cabinet. They didn't want to pull the when they put this in, they didn't want to pull the old cabinet out with the wiring in it, but it does have the front glass panel door. But this box is wrong. But I do have the front panel and the programming instructions, but I don't know if I can make it work or not. Some of the wiring has been, like, I don't know where those are supposed to go. And this blue wire wasn't hooked to anything, so I hooked it to voltage minus in. But I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm going to get me a power cord. The 110 goes in right here. So we'll get a power cord and we'll see what happens. At least I can maybe get it to light up or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll just go pop. So let me grab a cord and hook that up. Alrighty. Power cord is hooked up. It's got a little power switch here and that's off. So let us plug this in here. I didn't hear any pops or snaps or anything yet. Let's turn this on and see what happens. I hear a buzz and I see lights. Okay, so these are the output cards that would run the stuff. Now, this just ran the clock and stuff like that. This ran the clock, and it would send a pulse out. They had like clocks in the old school when every hour it would pulse a minute, and it would advance the clock with a solenoid, and then it would fix it if it was within 2 or 3 minutes near the end of the thing. It would advance it around until it got to the right. So I mean, the lights do come on. Time data. It's doing something. Everything's on auto. It's counting. Of course, it's been off for so long that the program is probably not in it anymore. I don't remember if it has. I would imagine it's got a battery in it. Although I don't see one. So it may have non-volatile memory. I don't see a battery in it, but that may have been what this was the memory battery. Which wouldn't surprise me with this terminal being all corroded. What does it say here? It just says OV. But it is doing something. So these, you put these in auto, and then when the brain got to whatever function it was supposed to do, it would turn this on for however long it needed. And they used it to run all the clocks and then the buzzers in the different sections of the plant, because certain sections went to lunch at different times, so this would run all that. And then you can make it ring manually. That's just turning the relay on. And then in the center is off, or it won't run, and up is auto. And I'm not sure what all this is. A transmission. I'm not sure what this does. The impulse, I'm sure, was for the clocks, but I don't know what this unit was for. But it does seem to operate. It's been running for 2 minutes and 48 seconds. I like this old school stuff. It's pretty cool. So that one kind of sort of works. I'm not going to take the time to program anything because I think it'll forget it with the battery not being in there. But that's pretty cool. I do have the programming manual, the operator's manual, but it doesn't say anything about hooking it up. But it's pretty straightforward that these are the outputs, because they're relays and they're all ganged together with a common voltage. And this one says pulse, and this one says control and data. So I'd assume that that's the impulse and the control data cards, but I'm not positive. But these cards are just, that one's just got relays on it. The impulse one has a pretty big processor. 88607-11 and a relay. And oh, you can see that one. The transmission one has 2 relays on it. Pretty neat old unit. I forgot I had it. There's a lot of stuff that I forgot I had. But we're getting into it, so that's kind of neat. So I'll stick this one on the shelf. Go find something else to power up. Alright, now what we got is a bunch of telecommunication stuff I got from where I work now, and I don't really know a lot about it. This is voicemail. Let's see, this is a modem, I think. I think that's a modem, but it's got 4 transformers on it, so I'm thinking this is part of the voicemail too. Both of these cards were in an old IBM PC. And this one has got like PS2 connectors, but they're not. They're a little bit different. I'm pretty sure that this is the voicemail. And then there's discs and stuff. This is I don't know what all this is. OS2 Warp. And this is Octel Overture. I'm not sure what it all is. I'm thinking that this has to do with the voicemail, but I'm not sure. And then we got a 14.4 modem. Wow, that's just flying. We had a 33.6 in our first computer. It was a 486, and we went online Christmas Eve, and boy, that was just such a joy. We never had internet before. It was just so amazing. And I don't know what this thing is. Penreel Data Communications, VCX 100. Has something to do with the some kind of a hub or something. Something to do with the phone lines. And then this is an 8-line 16 phone ITT telephone switch. So we're going to plug this in and see if this does anything. It does have a couple LEDs on it. Maybe something will light up. It's got, that says M. I'm assuming that's for a microphone. That's PA, so you could hook this to a PA amplifier. Doesn't have a power switch. Oh, here's the tag. It's an Aries EKS 616 1990 vintage. I don't know if this works or not. This was not the switch they were using when I started there. I also have that phone switch, parts of it, which we will dig out. I don't have the cabinet. It's not in the cabinet anymore. But I do have the unit, which I actually think is older than this. But this one wasn't big enough, I guess. So, I don't know what's going to happen. But we shall plug and see. I don't see anything. Well, it's doing something if I put the fuse in and out. I can hear a relay clicking. But there's really nothing to see, I guess. So, it does something. Don't know what. Moving on. Alright, I think I got it all hooked up. Been a while. This has been on the shelf. I don't even know if this works or not, but we're going to find out together. Well, what the heck is it? This is the other phone switch that was in service when I started working at the place I'm working at. And it had an intermittent problem. It would overheat and shut down, and we had the technician in several times. I don't know exactly what was going wrong with it. All I know is they replaced it with a unit about as big as this box down here, which is the power supply. This actually was in a steel cabinet, but it took up too much room, so I junked the cabinet. So I think I got everything powered or connected up. This has got a couple 5 1/4 floppy drives on it with the program. So we're gonna plug it in and see what happens. There's the plug-in. Alright, let's see. Minus 48 LTU power supply. Basic power supply. Here we go. Nothing. Oh, it's doing something. We got some lights. Shut the light off in here. Well, it did not read the drives, but it did come on and do something. Well, it spun one of the drives. Now those green lights over there gone out. Uh-oh. I see smoke. Something in the power supply. Something in the power supply just burned out. Probably a cap or something. Well, I guess that one doesn't work. What does it smell like? It smells like a resistor. Something got hot. Huh. Well, I guess that one there doesn't work. It was trying to do something. A little crackle and a little puff of smoke and she's all done. Well, I guess I'll put that one back on the shelf. Put a tag on it that said I let the smoke out of it. Whatever that was is really, really still smoking. And it really stinks too, very much. Let me get the top off of here and we can maybe look down in there and see what it was. Well, I don't really see where it's come from, but there's still smoke coming out of there. Something in the power supply died. So, I guess that one is a no-go. See if we can find something else that might work. I wanted to see those old drives spin up and search for information. I think when I first got it, it did, but this has been sitting around a while. Maybe some corrosion or something got in there. I don't know, but it really stinks, whatever that was that burned up in there. Well, curiosity got the better of me. It turns out that the whole power supply unit actually pulls right out of the whole power supply chassis there. It would appear that something in this general area got quite warm because it's pretty black there. But I don't know for sure. Can't really see anything in there. I don't really want to tear this whole unit apart. But the smoke was emanating from this area. I don't see anything burnt in there. Here's a big like SCR pack in there. But I don't really wanna, but I think I will. It's only 6 screws and I can fold that circuit down. We'll see what's in there. See what blew. Well, I really don't see anything on the board that looks like it's smoked. But there are connectors here that connect to these transistors or something on this board, and they're all burnt like they got hot. So my guess is it's a switching power supply, and there's probably a bad cap or a bad transistor, and it wasn't switching, and so some of these were drawing an awful lot of current and got quite warm, although they don't feel warm, but it has been off for a few minutes. So I'm not positive, but I don't see anything. I don't see anything else in there that's burned up or obvious. So put it back together, put a tag on it, stick it on a shelf, find something else to play with. Alright, now we've got 3 intermech concentrators, which are basically like hubs for serial communications. These were used with some barcode scanning equipment. The top 2 are the same. They're 9161B, which I have the book for. And the bottom one is a 9161A, which has a readout on it. I took the screws out of the cover of the top one so we can see the old school technology. Quite a lot of stuff in there, a lot of chips. Basically, like I said, they're just hubs for serial communications. You got all the inputs, and this one goes to the computer. This one says bulk, this one says terminal, ABCD, EF, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. 16 ports in and out, serial. And terminal and computer. I'm not positive, but I think one of those is the output. I think the computer one is the output that would go to the server. And possibly you can gang them if you connect the computer one to the terminal the other. I'm not positive, I don't know. But that's the insides of the B model. I got there's nothing really to see on the front of them to light up except for the bottom one. So I got the power cord connected to that, and I don't think they have a power switch. No, they don't. So as soon as you plug it in, it's going to come on. So I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. I don't know if it lights up, but I'll hold the camera over here and I'll plug it in and see what happens. I don't see anything, but there's a button that says run and standby, and it's possible that that's a power switch, so we'll testing 44956B. I hear some beeping. E-O-O-O-O-O. So it's got some kind of a code on it. So it does something. If out is status and it says EO or EQ 0000500700. If you press it into data, then it goes blank. So it is doing something. And this must be power. So, hey, that one didn't smoke. That's always good. Well, we've got this little intermech printer, but before we look at that, I wanted to show you this. The one phone switch that I got from the last place that I worked was an old Roam system, and it had an 8-inch floppy. Actually had two 8-inch floppy drives in them, and they're so hard to come by that the phone techs kept them, but they didn't care about the disc with the program and stuff on it. So check those out. They're just like a 5 1/4, but they're huge. They're 8-inch. Of course, they don't have anything to play them on, but I got a few of the old discs in here anyway. So that's kind of neat. So anyway, got those. Collectible for computer nuts, the old crazy computer people like me. I like to collect this old junk. I got this intermech printer, thermal barcode printer. I don't know if it works, but let's see if we can let the smoke out of it. I don't know where the power cord goes. Oh, here, in the bottom. Looks like it's parallel. Plug her in. Let's see. In the door. Turn around and see what happens. It just spits out a bunch of papers. This wheel here is shot. It's got a flat spot on it. That's supposed to be turning. Like this cap stand thing here will let it go through. So when I press reload, it should. It doesn't like me. Oh, that's kind of neat. It sort of works. And I have the book, so if I really wanted to interface it with something, I probably could. It's a little bit chewed up, the book is, but it seems like it operates. So that's kind of neat. I don't know what model it is. It doesn't have a number on it. Oh, right there. Model 8610. That's kind of neat. Ah, what's in here, you might ask? Some people might think it's a bowling ball or something. But the older computer geeks should know what this is. If I can get it to open. This is 1/2-inch tapes from backups. Old magnetic computer tape. Now I have a couple drives, a couple old Hewlett-Packard drives that will actually run these. At least load them. I don't really have a system that'll operate it, but the drives will load, and except the drive is on the bottom of my pile. There's a bunch of other printers and stuff on top of it. And it's getting late. As you can see, it's dark out. So I'm probably quitting for today, but maybe tomorrow we will get some more of the old computer junk down and and see if anything else decides to release smoke. I really like to drive it. It's all vacuum. You just set the tape in there and press a button and it vacuums and pulls the tape around and feeds it, and it's really neat. Hopefully that still works. But I'll get that down maybe tomorrow. We'll look at that. So if you're into this kind of stuff, stay tuned for tomorrow's video. But as usual, thanks for watching.